was just saying to Kevin, he's a hard act to follow. I'm a little worried now, but he has certainly set a high standard for the rest of our divisional leaders and our academic deans that will also have an opportunity here to share not only what's going on in their units, but how they're impacting this incredible institution that we're at. What I would like to do now is to present some information, a progress report, if you will, regarding strategic planning here at Oakland. It shouldn't surprise any of you that as an incoming president that I really would like to help take this institution to the next level. That's a metaphor we all realize, but certainly in the next iteration of helping the faculty and staff and all of our constituents define what the aspirations are for this incredible university. I think it's evident from Dean Corcoran's presentation that we have some outstanding programs. We have outstanding graduates that go on to do important things. But this is clearly a time of transition at Oakland University. Not only do you have a new president, you have a new board chair. We are in the process of hiring or looking for 4 deans, new deans. Our most senior dean has been here 6 years. That's Dean of the School of Medicine. Louis Charmra is our second most senior dean, having been here 5 years, I believe. Correct, Louis? We have, if you think about it, an opportunity with new leadership, new faculty that come on every year, about 70 new faculty every year, of really defining what we think the next iteration of this fine institution is. So in the context of that, what I would like to do now is present to you a report, a continuation, and I think the word continuation is very important. And I'm looking for a clicker, here we are. A continuation of the fine work that has been done so far. Let me go ahead and make the President's report. When I'm done, I would like to invite our Strategic Planning Committee to come up here to the dais so we can engage in some conversations with you all. It's important, I think, to recognize that we have, in fact, had a strategic planning process underway. We have had 22 members, representatives from across the institution. We have faculty representation on the Planning Committee. We have students representatives. We have a representatives of the AP staff. We have a representative of AAUP, staff representation, and certainly leadership of the academic side of the house, in addition to board membership. And it is important to recognize all of these individuals have spent countless hours thinking about the aspirations they have, how we are currently positioned to fulfill those aspirations. And today, as I say, we'll be presenting an update to you all. I will reiterate, those 3x5 cards are on your table there. If you do not have an opportunity to come to the microphone when we're done here and ask questions, engage in dialogue, please write on a couple of things on that card that you find especially appealing and maybe some suggestions for edits that we might make and or strategies that we might employ to achieve these things, because those will be typed up and shared with the Strategic Planning Committee as they move and consider the next iteration of what is presented today. It is important to realize that Betty Youngblood, as the interim president, provided I think, the leadership to carry this institution through a period of interesting transition. And to do that, she, with cooperation and the involvement of people across campus, created a planning committee. And that planning committee, February through March, had informational gatherings. There were certainly a number of focus groups, 15 focus groups. Many of you may have participated in that. Meetings with Board of Trustees, Campus 4 were held. There were the planning committee, there was a kickoff. From March through June 2014, there were 7 different planning sessions, some a half day, some a full day long, where there was a review of what the focus groups had revealed, a confirmation of the values that we as faculty and staff and other leaders in our community feel are important to us. Exploration of the current mission statement. By current, I mean the mission statement at that point in time, which, by the way, has now been distilled down from 2.5 pages to 1 PowerPoint slide. We'll see that in a moment. Discuss the branding study that had been done. What is it that people think about when they hear the words Oakland University? Review of financial data. Many pieces of information were shared with this planning process, this planning committee, including a SWOT analysis and certainly an identification and discussion of various strategies that they might employ moving forward. That process continued. In June of this past year, there was a committee presentation to the Board of Trustees just to give them an update that, in fact, discussions were moving forward. This was in preparation of the announcement of a new president of the process you may all recall was underway at that point in time. I had the distinct honor to be announced by the Board of Trustees to the faculty as the next president in August. And on August 18th, assumed the position here and came into the process at that point in time. In October, we held two planning committee meetings, strategic planning committee, and I'm sure those on the committee realized that we changed it from planning committee to strategic planning committee because of so much wonderful work had been done. The first meeting we had was essentially kind of a rundown of all of the progress to date. The second meeting was a bit more transformational because I had had an opportunity to digest a lot of the work that had been done to that point in time, and at that meeting challenged the committee to think perhaps a little more aspirational. I think it fair to say that we have the support of our board to define our future and to think big. I think that's important. The work that has arisen out of this committee will be presented today. We want your feedback, and certainly through November and December, we will digest your feedback. The Strategic Planning Committee will meet again. We'll come back to you, the campus community, for some more input, and then we would like to take this to the University Senate for their review and their blessing. Would like to take it to the Board of Trustees in February for formal approval of the mission statement, the aspirational goals that this committee has developed, and the affirmation that goes along with that. And then we will have, as you will see here, a number of task forces moving forward to make sure that we're trying to benchmark and achieve our aspirations that we say. What I'd like to present to you now is that 2.5-page mission statement distilled down to one PowerPoint slide. And I think it's very important that we read this very carefully and consider it very carefully because it will help frame Oakland as we move forward. Oakland University is a preeminent metropolitan university that is recognized as a student-centered doctoral research institution with a global perspective. We engage students in distinctive educational experiences that connect to the unique and diverse opportunities within our region and beyond. Through faculty-driven and student-engaged research, scholarship, and creative activity, Oakland University advances knowledge and art in a diverse and inclusive environment. Oakland University is an active community partner providing through civic, cultural, and recreational opportunities and valuable public service. There's some words here I would like to highlight. What does it mean to be preeminent? Without equal. We are a very unique institution. We offer over 139 undergraduate programs, 125 graduate programs, masters, PhDs, and certificate programs. We should be proud of the unique programs that we offer. We are also connected to our communities in ways that should distinguish us and in fact already do. Metropolitan University, we are not a suburban institution any longer. We are reaching out, as Dean Corcoran has articulated well, I think, to Pontiac and certainly throughout the larger Detroit metropolitan area. We are recognized. In fact, the branding survey clearly illustrated this. Our students feel we are more student-centered than other institutions across the state, many other institutions across the state. We want to maintain that. We are, after all, a doctoral research institution with a global perspective. We have approximately 20 PhD programs. Those PhD programs cover quite a wide variety of disciplines, and really serve to distinguish the unique scholarship that we do here. This is a doctoral research institution. We should be proud of that, and we should champion that. We engage students in distinctive educational experiences that connect to the unique and diverse opportunities within our region and beyond. I would highlight, as Dean Corcoran did, our more recent engagement in Pontiac. This is a tremendous opportunity for partnership where our faculty expertise and student expertise can be brought to bear in partnership with Pontiac and the leaders in Pontiac to serve not only their economic development, but frankly, the development of our students through engaged learning in their own backyard. Through faculty-driven and student-engaged research, scholarship, and creative activity, Oakland University advances knowledge and art in a diverse and inclusive environment. We are committed to a diverse environment for our faculty, our students, and we definitely want to engage in our diverse communities. Oakland University is an active community partner, providing through civic, cultural, and recreational opportunities and valuable public service. We are out there, and we want to affirm the fact that we are engaged in our various communities, whether there are professional communities in our own disciplines, or our communities across the street. 3 goals have been developed by the Strategic Planning Committee, and I will quickly run through these. They're not long. Goal number 1. Foster student success through a robust teaching and learning environment and comprehensive student services. We want to acknowledge that teaching and learning are at the absolute core of what we do. This is, after all, the academy. It's also important to note that we are committed to creating a learning environment and student services that will foster the development of the individual, not just academically, but personally and socially. That is the importance, I think, of living on a campus community or being engaged in that campus community. Goal number 2, proposed goal number 2, be recognized as a strong research and scholarly environment focused on creative endeavors and on the discovery, dissemination, and utilization of knowledge. This fits, I think, strongly with the notion that we are a doctoral research institution. Whether we're engaged in PhD education or whether we're working primarily with undergraduate students, I think there is a commitment, as manifested by the conversations this committee has had, to fostering all kinds of inquiry, research, creative. It's important. It is at the core of being this institution. Proposed goal number 3. We aspire to become a leader in serving the needs and aspiration of our communities and region through expanded community relationships, institutional reputation and visibility, and engagement. We are not just an academic learning environment situated on 1,400 beautiful acres. We are a learning environment that wants to incite excitement, satisfy curiosities, challenge people, and we want to do that in a way that increases our engagement with our different communities, certainly has an impact on our growing institutional reputation and visibilities, and we want to become known as an institution that is committed to its engagement with all of our communities. Those were the 3 goals that this committee has developed. But there was also a statement of affirmation that is, I think, at the core of supporting these 3 goals. That aspiration or affirmation is the following. The university's 3 goals, developed during several months of planning work, are a concise expression of our institutional aspirations. Thus, it is important to recognize that student success is meant to encompass the full range of student experiences and opportunities while at the university. We also recognize that an intrinsic part of achieving these goals must include ensuring the university's excellence and the attainment of its mission through effective institutional processes, shared decision-making, and transparent best processes. To move forward on this aspiration or affirmation, it's important to note that as we move forward, and this will include prior to and after the strategic plan is presented to the board for approval, is that there will be some task forces, some working groups that will address some of the issues that are so important to making sure that we fulfill what we say in our mission statement and fulfill our aspirations as expressed in our larger goals. There will be an institutional processes task force that will help identify existing university processes that impede, complicate, or hinder our forward progress, institutionally and or individually, and make recommendations accordingly to move past those so that they can become facilitators. The Shared Governance Task Force will help address ways to enhance and strengthen a culture of effective, respectful, collaborative, and collegial communication, as well as transparent best practices. And finally, there will be a budget and finance task force that will focus on the needs of the diversity of revenue streams and to develop new financial plans and budget models to guide the university operations in the years ahead in concert with our mission statement, our goals, and our aspirations as truly a leader in this state and region, certainly, and beyond, as an outstanding educational institution. So that, in essence, summarizes, I think, the work of our Strategic Planning Committee. I would like to say that the notion here is, again, we would like your input, your initial reactions. Please fill them out if you don't have a chance to speak, and let us know. The Strategic Planning Committee will get together again soon, go over all of the feedback that we've received, come back to you with some revisions and or edits, and we will move forward as expeditiously as we can. It's very important in my mind that the aspirations that are stated in this strategic plan reflect the faculty, because we are all here to serve the needs of our students and of various communities that we are engaged in. So your input is extremely important. And as we move forward, of course, the strategic plan will help inform our deans and will help them shape their own strategic plans so that we can move forward to locate resources and supporters that will help us at the unit level, at the department level, at the program level, at the school level, to achieve the aspirations of the faculty in those units. So having said that, I would like to invite our Strategic Planning Committee to come on up and be at the dais here, and would like to, once that is accomplished, to open it up for questions, comments, and there's a microphone right here in front. We'll turn the lights up just a little bit so that we can get focus in on the person asking the questions and have something worthwhile putting on the web. Again, I want to thank the Strategic Planning Committee. I would like to thank Betty in particular for initiating this incredible process that really will help frame the future for Oakland University. Betty, you've done a tremendous job, and it really, I think it's a tremendous gift to the campus that you took it upon your leadership to move forward with this at a time when I think some positive things were much needed. So thank you for that. So with that, I would like to open it up to questions. I notice nobody's rushing forward to be the first person here. One over there. Where are we? Oh, here we are. Yes. Yes, please come over to the microphone. Since we'll be recording this, it's important that we have good quality of the audio here. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm Judy Ablisser. I'm the director for the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. And can you pull up that first goal again?
I think Steve's working on this. There you go. Okay. Thank you.
I want to commend you as the director for the Center of Excellence in Teaching and Learning to hit that right on for your first proposed goal. I particularly like the connection between the student success and robust teaching and learning, and also that connection between teaching and learning and student services, that partnership. So I really commend you and commend the whole team for that. It's nice to know that that is actually what we are here to do. The one thing that I would be interested in seeing is more of an alignment with the mission and the goals. In the mission, you speak a lot, or not you, we speak a lot about diversity, and yet I don't see that reflected in any of the goals. And so I'm wondering if diversity in some way, or diverse students, or diverse learners, or diverse something could be reflected in the goals, particularly in goal number 1.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any comments from the committee here?
I might just say that I think what you're not seeing yet is the committee had long discussions about the things that would fall underneath these 3 goals. So there are bullet points that will continue to be shaped. And then at one point, I remember diversity being in every single one of the goals. So they are embedded there, of course, but I think that's a valid point that it should be visible in every. But I think you will see it in each of the goals as the strategies, you might say, underneath the goals.
That's a very good point to follow up on. What you don't see here are some proposed strategies to move forward on these goals. For this presentation, we thought that might be a little bit too much. Let's deal with kind of the umbrella right now, and then we will be bringing forward those strategies in the next iteration of this for your input. So thank you for that comment. Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Flora Dallo, and I'm a faculty member in the School of Health Sciences. Thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I wanted to share with you some information that we have that may be helpful in this conversation. We conducted, and I shared this with Provost Lentini, a survey a couple of years ago looking at student health. And we surveyed over 600 students. And the thing that came out of that survey was that Oakland University students had the highest rates of stress levels compared to other universities. And furthermore, what they were telling us is they wanted more information about how to reduce and or cope with stress, how to get better sleep, which I'm sure all of us can identify with, more information about physical activity, and more information about nutrition. So in order to fulfill some of the goals you've listed, as a public health gal interested in the underlying, health really drives a lot of these things, I wonder if there were any conversations about improving and better understanding student health, if there were any conversations in the strategic planning meetings.
I'm looking for Glenn, maybe if he'd be willing to take that on, or somebody else.
Yeah, we did address that issue, and I'm aware of the survey results. We've talked on several occasions about the stress level of our students, and so in conjunction with Graham Health Center and Campus Recreation, we talked about the idea of awareness and education process for students. You got to think a lot of students don't realize the different services available on our campus, and as we've grown, unfortunately, some of the infrastructure doesn't allow us to devote a lot of time to the educational component as we need to, but it's certainly something that we're addressing in the committee work.
Steve Shablin, Registrar. I really liked the mission statement, but something sort of struck me reading that mission statement. I really liked preeminent, but I wasn't so sure about metropolitan. And in the spirit of sort of the aspiration, why not national? Why not something more than metropolitan? That just sort of struck me in the mission statements.
Sure. I'd like to respond to that right away, I think, but certainly want the committee to chime in on this. My thought is that we're essentially 95% of our students come from this region, certainly the larger metropolitan university with 70-some odd percent of our students coming from 2 counties. And it seemed that was the area that we have really grown within, but at the same time we do have aspirations to become, I think, an institution that extends its reach out. Metropolitan, to me, seemed to be the kind of the area in which we serve. We certainly draw students from the metropolitan area, although most of them come from 2 counties. But at the same time, that seemed fitting with this notion of outreach to the community. But would certainly like to open that comment up to the committee as well. Kevin, I know you've had some professional interactions along this line.
I think one of the things, and there may be some education needed, one of the things about the use of the word metropolitan is it connotes a sense of place. So there are institutions that refer to themselves as metropolitan that are certainly national research universities. There's one that has a mascot that's a Spartan. You may be familiar with that school. There's another one that certainly shall not be named that has a Buckeye as its mascot. So metropolitan has something to do with that focus on connecting our talent in service to the community. And some people have talked about the 21st Century Metropolitan University as the modern land grant, that we're not talking about ag anymore. We are talking about city infrastructure. We are talking about nonprofit capacity building. We are talking about entrepreneurship, business development, those kinds of things.
And one add-on, there is a coalition of urban and metropolitan universities to which those universities Kevin mentioned, those big ones, and others around us belong, and we are also a member of that coalition. So that term metropolitan really does seem to fit where we see ourselves, at least as a group, in our discussions.
I would also add the word national does resonate certainly in my mind, because our faculty and many of our programs are in fact nationally known. And I would say internationally known. I was just reviewing with the provost yesterday those figures, and we have over 700 students from foreign countries here on campus. The majority of those are from China, of course, but at the same time we have students from, I would guess, 50 different countries at least. So we do want to extend our reach out, and the best way we can do that is through our scholarship and our outreach by serving students from here that go out to the larger landscape, and also by serving students that come to us from other countries, graduate from here, and go back to their countries and spread the good word about what's going on here. So I certainly resonate with the notion of national or international reputation, I think. Yes?
Actually, my comment is not really needed anymore because Dean Cochran said it better than I could have. But I second the idea that there's not a distinction that if you're metropolitan, you cannot be national and even international. It has much more to do with the fact that we represent this particular region in a way that sometimes the flagship institutions don't, because of their mission being slightly different than what ours should be given our position in the state. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Now, I've seen some of you fill out those cards, so feel free to come up and read them.
It's easier to fill it out.
Hi, Mark Rigstad, Chair of the Philosophy Department. I really like the statement of the mission. I was thinking, and perhaps this is implicit in best practices, but I think it would be good to have it reflected in the umbrella. The institution's commitment to ethical integrity and fairness in all that it does in light of recent scandals. I'm thinking, of course, of the University of North Carolina, that sort of thing. I just wanted to add that.
That's good.
There is, I just want to add something on. Again, a lot of discussion on the committee. We do have a core values statement that you didn't see, which includes some of that kind of language, so we could think about how that presents itself, whether it's in a mission statement or as part of a core values statement as well, it seems.
I do, as you're thinking about your question and how you might frame it, I do want to give a shout out to the fact that our leadership has, we really are changing a lot of the leadership here on campus in new and different ways, and I want to give a shout out to our new athletic director, Jeff Konya, who has, I think, done some wonderful education with our students about some core issues that are important, not just in the arena of athletics, but also here on campus. So, Jeff, thank you for your leadership in that area as well. I'm thinking I better step back here a little bit.
Apparently,
I had the pleasure
two
of getting
pictures.
to know you, Jackie, so I'm sure it's going to be a friendly comment.
It's a very friendly comment. I actually don't have a question. It is just a comment. I think
that the wording of the statements, of all the statements we've seen so far, and I assume probably of the points that come underneath, are beautiful motivations for action. We have not had words of this nature before that enable us to know how to act. And I really want to compliment the committee for doing such a beautiful job of articulating who we are and what we are in a way that will enable us to move forward with the language that's there.
Good. The committee certainly deserves, I think, credit for that. I think the interesting thing for me, the thing that I find passionate about this job, and I know you do too, is the fact that we have the opportunity as faculty, members of staff, to really create the kind of working and scholarly environment that not only satisfies our curiosities and our own aspirations, but really serves to advance learning. And the impact on our students is something I think, particularly as we get older in our careers, we increasingly take joy in seeing what our students and our graduates end up doing. We are having impact, and Jackie, thank you for that comment. It's good to be aspirational. It's good to be positive. It's good to be maybe assertive. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Greg Jordan, Campus Recreation. My initial reaction on this is just wonderful work, and I commend the committee. Very inspirational, very thoughtful, and look forward to implementing it in due time. Perhaps Provost Lentini, adding to the concept of core values, I certainly echo the previous comment regarding student health issues, wellness issues, but I'd like to consider, or ask the committee to consider, to expand that to the entire campus community. I think the health and well-being of all of us as individuals, everyone in this room, being a healthy person, a person of well-being, would then contribute to student success and expanding our own well-being. Certainly initiatives such as smoke-free campus, the things that we're doing in regard to insurance benefits and the incentives that are involved in there are all examples of a campus culture of well-being. So I would wish that the committee would consider that as well.
That's great. If I might, I'll just take a real brief moment to read some of the bullets that were under core values, and this is all draft, so I think it still could be excellence and distinction, knowledge, discovery, and creativity, opportunity, access, diversity, inclusion, integrity, stewardship, community engagement, and outreach, and student success. And that could be expanded further, but a lot of things could spin off of that, and we can continue to think about the core values moving forward.
Yes, please.
Tim Larrabee from the School of Education and Human Services. There's been discussion about diversity in many different ways, but I'm also concerned about how we diversify our student population and our faculty and our administration. That's a very different process. Currently, I represent the school on the Council of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and we looked at our stats, and our student population mirrors Oakland County. And we can say then that we represent our metropolitan region, but I don't think anybody would say that we have a diverse student population or faculty or administration if we look across the board now. And so what we can do to take those actions that we had heard about, and how do we actively change what we do and how we do it.
Thank you very much. I think we all have that same aspiration, and I think it's certainly something that we would welcome your thoughts on, suggestions in particular on maybe some strategies that we might employ to reach out, maybe redouble the efforts that we are making in some areas, but maybe we're not thinking about areas more creatively about how we could reach out. So really, your suggestion on some strategies would be very helpful, and I'd welcome that, and I know the committee would as well. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. You guys, I love the mission statement and the goals and what you're doing here. And I appreciate a board member being here as well. So this, I'm pretty excited. And I was also stoked to see the comment about not wanting to lose the focus on like student support at Oakland. The university's grown just in the time I've been here. I just put this out as a question because I don't really have a good answer for it. But I just wonder how we can remain student student-centered and have that personal touch, while also losing some of the, it seems like we're moving more towards heavier loads of part-time teachers that don't typically have the same connections as the full-time faculty. And I just put it out there as, I don't know how it gets done, but I love the idea of trying to stay student-focused.
Committee members, some thoughts?
I would only say that even in the very first statement, we put student success right in there and engagement to it. And I think all the things that we'll be able to talk about now going forward will be exactly the kind of ideas we're hearing at the microphone here. So student success means academic success, means personal success, means health success, means all those things. So I think as we now flesh out, how will we implement what we're talking about here, that's where the rubber will hit the road. And that will take us some time to unfold, and we'll need your input and participation in making this a workable, not just plan, but action plan.
I'd like to comment on that. In establishing Goal 1, one of the things that we thought was critical was including student support services in there, and that we realized that learning happens outside of the classroom, support comes outside of the classroom as well. And so with the various departments around the university that have their different mission, we serve the needs and interests of students. And so we didn't want to lose that in that strategic planning process because within the Division of Student Affairs, we have 18 departments, and all those departments are devoted to supporting the academic mission of the university.
We definitely do not want to lose what we already have as one of our assets, and in fact would like to enhance it. And this is an important point as well to reiterate, to sound a little bit redundant, I suppose. Your suggestions on strategies, whether it's to diversify our student body or diversify the ways in which we engage our students, we really welcome those. So think creatively and let's get those ideas in front of the committee. Yes, please.
Sue Evans from the Department of Journalism. This is a beautiful iteration of a strategic plan. What you may not know is the Honors College has been endeavoring this sort of thing for the last 5 years or so, and so I would strongly suggest that you harness that resource when you go forward because they have some wonderful ideas to help you implement that.
Well, we would welcome that from any, Graham's back there clapping, so do we have merit pay here? No. Topic for another day. But thank you for that suggestion because I'm sure that various units here on campus, various schools, Honors College, may in fact have strategies that they're already employing that could be successful. So I think that's a great comment. Thank you for that. Yes, please.
My name is Jenny DeLeo. I started with admissions 2 days ago, so I'm a little nervous. I wanted to know if in the core value statement that will be released later, there's going to be any wording to address creating a space that's safe for students, specifically in thinking about the recent scandals about sexual harassment and assault on campus and whether or not that was reported clearly at some universities. Are we going to address that in our core value statement?
It's, I think it's embedded in what we have, but I think there's, your comment is one that we need to think about and could certainly consider how it fits in with what we have or to change the language to more comprehensively cover the point you make, which I think is an important one.
And I think it's also important that we educate people to what's available currently on campus. We have different resources and offices, particularly the Gender and Sexuality Center here in the Oakland Center, as well as different offices with different placards in their window designating them as safe zone areas.
John, I wonder if you might have some thoughts about campus safety. My perception, having been here about 3 months, is that we're one of the one of the safest campuses I've been at. But perhaps you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Yes, I think both actually and statistically that's true. We report our crime statistics on our website, and anybody can see them, and they're compared to our peers throughout the state and the nation, and we typically have a very low crime rate. We have a very involved OUPD who is very visible and interactive with people. We have a brand new chief that has a lot of ideas. He's implementing a bike program where you'll see an officer actually riding between buildings, not just driving around on roads. And he also implemented a new housing program. Unfortunately, that officer that was running that just resigned and went off and is involved in a school now. But yeah, we've got a number of programs, a RAD program for women that helps them be able to defend themselves and recognize safety issues on campus. Have we done everything that we could possibly do? Absolutely not, because there's always more that you can do. But I think we have a very safe campus, and if you have ideas, we'd be happy to listen to more.
I think one of the things about this strategic plan is as we move forward, well, certainly the committee will consider and recommend strategies that might be employed, but we will also try and, where we can, benchmark where we are now and where we would like to go. So we will take these aspirations seriously as we start to formulate the plans on moving forward to achieve these things. Please.
I was just curious whether there was any mention of partnership with industry in the plan, since it seems to be a model for both innovation and sustainability going forward with the university as, future thinking.
Certainly, we have a lot going on campus along that regard. And Liz, you look like you have a comment.
Absolutely, yeah. I actually came into the process a little bit later. My predecessor, Jabran Ahmed, who had been the vice president before me, had started out on this process, so I kind of came in as a third party. And I was extremely impressed with what the committee had come up with as far as making sure to show the entire experience of a student at the university, from everything from what happens in the classroom to co-curricular activities to like the outside experiences that you get from internships and through research and things like that. So that is definitely shown in and reflected in some of the different portions that weren't shown up here today. But that was actually one of the big discussions that fortunately I was able to be there for and is reflected throughout the document. Absolutely.
I would add, I think community engagement is embedded within the mission and within the entire document. I believe our advantage as a university is the metropolitan reach, the partnerships that we have with corporations and foundations and communities, as Dean Corcoran mentioned, and I think we can continue to enhance that in the coming months and years. It's going to be important to our future as we have 100,000 alumni now, so forth.
And just think, every one of those alumni has a significant other, a partner, a friend, a family, and they're all talking about what a great institution this is. So we have lots of opportunities to connect with people to tell our story in many positive ways. Yes, please.
My name is Christine Diaz. I'm an assistant professor at Oakland University's William Beaumont School of Medicine. I'll say the entire name. One question I had for the Strategic Planning Committee, there is a number of us on campus who are working collaboratively and are interested in interprofessional education. And one thing that we've reflected on, there's a small working group, is what kind of institutional value is there in interprofessional education, since only a handful of schools have a concentrated center. So just curious if there has been any discussion, and it would be great to have that be valued by the university here.
Committee members?
I could say that it's certainly valued, and interestingly enough, as the School of Medicine is going through its final stages of accreditation, in fact, we'll be hearing shortly about the accreditation as the first class graduates this coming spring. They've worked on their strategic plan, and of course, President Hind and I sit on that committee. So we have talked about, in fact, interprofessional, more collaboration among several entities on campus. I think it fits right in here. We have talked about it, and I've talked to several of our deans about this. I take that point. I think what a lot of the questions here, which are very good ones, are exactly the kind of more detail then that we will now be able to put underneath the three goals. As you get to research, for example, what kind of, or even teaching, what kind of interprofessional collaborations will will be at the centerpieces for us. So I think it is here, but thank you for making the comment. It's good.
I think we have time for perhaps one more question. And please remember those 3x5 cards. They're there for a reason. Please.
Richard Stamps from Sociology, Anthropology, retired. I would just add my congratulations to the committee for a finely worded effort. It looks great. I would remind us, however, I look at this beautiful structure that's up front, the bell tower. I love it, in part because it was designed by an architect who took my Intro to China class.
I was wondering how you were going to get to China.
but then went on and got her degree in engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So the engineering school gets credit for this this beautiful piece. But I would remind us on the Creating the Future document, which is a predecessor to what you're doing. Jeff Upward probably remembers the page number, but it does talk about the unique situation that we have on this campus of a beautiful whole series of historic structures and buildings. And I didn't quite see that. What is it that differentiates us from a strip mall university? We've got some beautiful stuff, and I hope we never forget that historic preservation element of our campus. The global, you knew I had to say something about global, and I'm excited that we've got, what'd you say, 700 international students?
Yes.
Michigan State has 10% of their student bodies are Chinese. And so our having 700 is wonderful because we can't afford to send all of our students overseas, but we can bring some students here and they can have that international experience. So anyway, keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. You've provided the perfect segue to David, who I know is just dying to follow up on your comment, seeing as he's standing up. And David, I think we'll give you the last word here.
Okay,
and I'm excited about, I wanted, before you say anything, I just want to thank every one of you for staying, for your participation in what is a continuing process here, updating everybody on what's going on in the School of Arts and Sciences or other units on campus and schools and colleges is exquisitely important, because I think we can all appreciate that we're just not really sure what that person is doing down the hallway, and this is going to be a wonderful vehicle to find out more about your colleagues and the really extraordinary things that are happening here on campus. And I have no doubt that study abroad and international somehow will have something to do with your question. David, please.
Well, first of all, that was not staged for me to come up after Richard Stamps. He stood a long time at the back of the room. I wasn't quite sure whether he was going to come up. But he's a tough act to follow. By the way, I did check, and we have those students come from 64 countries.
Okay.
Those students and scholars. We have a lot of scholars here who help exponentially in the different labs and professors on campus. But one of the things, first of all, this is very positive. I'm excited that we have a strategic plan. The only thing I would urge you to consider is that I didn't see very much about international in there. And that concerns me because I'll just share with you briefly, I had a student come to see me today, and we were talking about things, and we talked about Chrysler. And I was trying to tell this student how important it is to be diverse and be flexible. And we talked about Chrysler. I said, well, many years ago, you needed to have French in order to do well at Chrysler because it was bought by Renault. Then it became an American company. Then Daimler Chrysler came. Then all of a sudden, German was an important language to speak. Then it became American again, and then it became Fiat, of course, as it is now. Now an Italian is an important language to speak. But that's a microcosm, I think, of what I'm trying to say, which is to prepare our leaders for tomorrow. They need to be very flexible, and they need to be very diverse. And I would urge, in addition to the Center for Multicultural Initiatives that's working with us, to consider internationalizing our campus, our curriculum, bringing more international students as a way to provide students who may not have come in contact with somebody from Russia or China or India in their local communities. They come to Oakland University to be challenged, those stereotypes, and to meet people that are different than they are. And I think that's an important component. In addition to adding a lot to classroom experiences. When I taught, I remember having international students was wonderful because we got a whole different perspective. So I encourage you, as we come up with our final goals, we need to talk about internationalization because of the global nature of our economy, and Chrysler is a classic example. And also, when we think about diversity, it also includes people from other countries. If we do that, I think we will offer an educational model that is excellent and will help our students to adapt to this ever-changing world, which is our neighbor right next door. So thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for that comment. I think we all aspire to be the best we possibly can, and in my view, we have some of the best representatives here on campus sitting up on the dais. We look forward to your participation, and as we move forward in forming these working groups, I would encourage you, if you would like to be engaged at that level, please let us know. I think you can email Betty directly. She'll be helping coordinate all of this. So if you'd like to be engaged, we want to have you engaged. Make sure you do fill out those 3x5 cards if you can and are willing. And I would just like to open it up as a last comment, perhaps, to anybody on the committee if they would like to say anything about the work that they've done and the progress that we've made. And Kevin?
Thank you. I'd like to say two things quickly. One, before you all leave, I'd like you to pause for a moment and take a really good look at us sitting at this table. Who we are and the constituencies we represent, and imagine us 5, 6, 7, or 8 hour days discussing some of these issues. At one point in May, I wrote a note to myself going, how do we communicate what's happening in this room to the whole community? Because several people from different constituencies commented that they had never in their experience at Oakland had such frank and open dialogue about serious institutional issues. And it was, I'll be honest, I came into a strategic planning experience somewhat skeptical. We've all been through these things before. I'm president of the AUP. I've been asked to serve on it. I can't say no, so I'll do it. Okay, I'm doing it. I'm taking one for the team. It was not like that. It was transformational. It was really, really interesting, and I'm very impressed with all of my fellow committee members, and it was a remarkable experience. That's one. Two, the hard work is starting now. I want to just second what President Hine just said. We don't want you to be involved. We need you to be involved, whether you want to or not. This only works because, as the Provost said earlier, all of your questions, excellent questions, reflect the details that are hinted at. We talked about these things, but it was not our job at this global level to plan them, sort of to get the big picture. And now the real work begins, and it's up to all of you and your colleagues. So this is where it really happens. That's it. I'm out, as they say.
Yeah, we know where he lives. We have your email address. Anybody else on the committee like to say something? Well, I want to thank the committee for what I think is extraordinary work, and having sat in on some of these sessions, there were really frank, honest, straightforward conversations. Issues were brought up that I think sitting around the table out there, you might have trouble bringing up some of these issues. They were discussed, they were digested, they were challenged, they were embraced. And this has been an extraordinary committee, and I want to thank you for your continuing work because the job's not done. We have a long way to go, but I think we're starting to head off in a destination that represents all of us here at the institution, faculty, staff, students, and it's going to be an exciting journey for all of us. So please keep your input coming. We appreciate your coming today, and I'll look forward to seeing you on campus.